What's up, guys? This channel is gonna be, sorry if you can't see me, it's nighttime and I'm sitting in my truck making this video. Just got off work. This channel is gonna be all about my story and hopefully helping people, and hopefully helping me too, people who have dealt with crippling anxiety, period, depersonalization and derealization. If you know what that is, then you know why you're here. A little about me: I've been suffering from DPDR for about 5.5 years now. Anxiety for about 6.5, 7. I'm 24 years old. Been dealing with it since I was probably 17, for anxiety and for DPDR since I was about 19. Freshman year of college is when I really started to, it's when I had started my DPDR started. Let's see, give you a little backstory on me. My DPDR, well, I can start with my anxiety. When I was 16, 17, I was dating a girl who, of course, you know, you have a little high school romance, and I was head over heels for this chick, and thought I loved her and all that crap, and she messed me up pretty bad. She always had me on an emotional roller coaster. She's bipolar as hell in our relationship. One day she was mad as hell at me, one day she loved me, all this kind of stuff. And what made it even worse is I lost my virginity to her, so automatically I was more attached to her and all that kind of crap. And it messed me up pretty bad. But she had me stressed out all the time. I was always worried about, you know, if she was gonna cheat on me, or, you know, all this and that, because she loved to party, and I liked to party too, but I didn't like partying with her crowd. They weren't really my crowd at the time, and I didn't really know them, and so I never really went and partied with her. I love partying with my friends and stuff like that, but, you know, I always like people having my back, and I don't like going to parties without, you know, a little backup, and just in case. And so and then she'd go to the party by herself, and I'd be worried if she was cheating or what she was doing and all that kind of bull crap. And, you know, it messed with me a lot, and so I was always stressed out, and I was always stressed out when I was with her, because I was afraid I was going to do something wrong, or, you know, do something stupid, embarrass her, and then she'd be mad at me, and then she'd break up me, and it'd be the end of the world, or some stupid stuff like that. And that's kind of where mine started, and it bothered me, and it got to the point where, hell, I couldn't even hardly be around her, because she always had me so on edge. I'd feel like I was going to throw up, because I'd be so nervous the whole time, trying not to do anything stupid. And that went on for a while, and eventually it got to the point where I just, you know, I knew I was like, this just ain't for me, you know. I love this chick, whatever, but this chick is freaking nuts, and it messed me up pretty bad. I mean, I ain't gonna say nothing bad about her or nothing like that, because you know, we made up later, and we're friends and all that kind of stuff. But she turned me for a little loop there. Part of it was her fault, part of it was my fault, and it messed me up pretty bad. And so we broke up. And we broke up towards at the end of my junior year of high school, and right away I started, you know, well, I won't go there yet. Before then, while we were dating, I started having some, you know, some issues with some panic, or, you know, feeling sick to my stomach, starting to get real nervous, stuff like that, and all that. So you can kind of say that's kind of where it began. And then we broke up and started kind of dating this other little chick. And summer between my junior and senior year of high school, I was at work one day, and I had a super intense panic attack. Had a chick staying at my house that I've been dating for a little while, and I found out something about this girl, or something like that, and it really messed me up. And I started thinking about it and all this stuff, and I'm like, you know, who's this? I don't hardly know this chick that I got staying back at my house, and all this kind of stuff like that. And then I don't know, one thing led to another, and I'm sitting there inside. I worked at a country club at a golf course, and one thing led to another, and I'm pretty sure I had like no sleep the night before that, and I'd done drank probably 2 Red Bulls, a glass of sweet tea, probably dipped a whole can of Grizzly, and maybe even a chew too, that morning to get awake to go to work, because I had to be at work at 6 a.m. every morning. And but all of that added together, and then this news gets dropped on me, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, and all of a sudden I start feeling like I couldn't catch my breath. You know, that you kind of get that, whew, you know, I can't catch my breath. And I started feeling like I couldn't catch my breath, and then my heart started beating hard. I was like, oh man, you know, I started feeling a little nervous, like a kind of a panic. You know, wasn't too bad. You know, I was like, man, okay, just need to breathe. And then it got worse. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Then I started kind of getting that tunnel vision, like it started to feel like the room was closing in on me. And then I started feeling like I was gonna throw all at the same time. And this is all just going on in my head, and inside my head's like a screaming match, like, what the hell's going on, you know? If you've never had a real bad panic attack, you know, you don't know what the hell's going on. You're freaking out. You don't know what the hell's your body's doing. And all of a sudden, you know, I stand up and I walk out of there slowly, just to try to keep my cool, because I didn't want to stand up and come hauling ass out of there like a crazy person. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, because you got to get out of a situation to make yourself feel more comfortable. You got to. But I stood up and walked out of there. And that's another thing that I said that probably inhibits, or I don't know what word to use there, but makes my anxiety worse, is the fact that it embarrasses me. I don't want, you know, I don't want to seem vulnerable or anything like that. It hurts my pride and messes with my manhood, I guess you could say, because here in the South, we're raised to be tough, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But it can mess you up, and at the same time, because it can you know, make you not accept things, or make you feel bad for something you shouldn't feel bad about, something you have no control over. But anyways, you know, I didn't want to have a freak out panic attack in front of all these people and get embarrassed, so I stood up, and instead of sprinting out of there like I wanted to, I slowly eased out the door and hopped in my truck and took off about 4 hours before my shift ended. And I let my boss know, you know, hey, I'm not feeling well, I had to go home, whatever, and left it at that. And got back to the house, and this chick was there, and you know, I talked to her, whatever. She left, went home, and sure after that I called one of my friends or whatever. But that panic attack was so intense, you know, I thought I was having a heart attack. I thought something else was wrong. And you know, I'd had little brief episodes of nerves and panic and nervousness, whatever, but nothing to this gravity. Like, it was so intense that it scared me. I thought I was gonna die. And you know, it's like one of them ones where when you're a little kid, you know, something happens to you where when you're not at age to know any better, and you freak out because you think you're about to die or something like that. It was like that. It really was. And it scared the hell out of me. And it was a catalyst to all the way into the point where I'm at today, you know, 6-7 years later. It was so intense, and it scared me so badly that I was like, holy shit, you know, something's got to be wrong with me. I went to a doctor a few times that summer, and I tried to forget about it, tried to write it all off on nerves, whatever. But in the back of my mind, I was still like, you know, something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with your heart. Something's fucked up in your body somewhere. You know, you have a brain tumor, whatever. And because my dad has heart problems, and I was like, oh, you know, holy shit, do I have heart problems too? Anything like that. And it messed me up pretty bad. And I kept, you know, I kind of brushed it off, but I kind of kept thinking about it. I went to the doctor. They put me on Zoloft, you know, just my regular MD, and just my family doctor. And he gave me like a little 25 milligram prescription to Zoloft. I was like 17, and I was like, okay, this will fix me. And But you know, I didn't know how to be honest with him, tell him how I was feeling, nothing like that, because at that time, you know, I wasn't educated on the fact of what was going on or anything like that. So kind of, you know, I didn't know what to tell him. Hey, you know, I'm nervous, I'm anxious, you know, this happened, that happened, I'm worn out, I hardly ever sleep, this and that, it led to this. I didn't know how to tell him that then. You know, I didn't know what was going on. I wasn't educated on the subject like I am now. But it from there, I went on throughout the summer, and I kind of started some of those avoidance behaviors. You know, started avoiding some places a little more that I thought I might have a panic attack, or I didn't want to have a panic attack in front of people, or you know, things to that effect. I started avoiding certain situations, always looking for an exit, looking for a way out, just in case I felt bad, or you know, started having a little panic attack, whatever. And it really, that's kind of where it all started. I started having some of those avoidance behaviors, not even realizing, you know, that I was doing it like I do now, because it's kind of a natural response. And you know, even though now I know, I was like, man, you should have just been doing that and getting that fear out of the way. It wouldn't bother you anymore, that kind of crap. But you know, then I did what I did, and it progressed. And then at the same time, I got a little better. I started being able to deal with it a little better. Started, you know, telling myself, hey, you know, this and that, you know, you're okay, it's just this, it's just that, and it went on. It got a little better time by time. And it wasn't real good, but it wasn't crippling or anything like that. I could still go out and do stuff, no problem. I still felt like me, still went out there and did stuff and had fun and that kind of stuff. Still, I'm not gonna lie, I still smoked a little pot and drank and stuff like that. I had fun with my friends. I won't sit here and be one of those people who tells you, oh, you know, marijuana triggered my depersonalization or whatever. No, I mean, I smoked a fair bit of weed in high school, and I never felt any DP or anything like that from it. I just smoked with my friends. I was never one of those people who would smoke like habitually, you know, every day for months at a time. That's not me. You know, I did every now and then, but you know, I still did stuff like that. And you know, the smoking pot still messed with my anxiety a little, my health anxiety after that a little bit, because you know, you get that heart pound and get that dry throat and whatever, start feeling like you can't breathe, a little panic attack. But other than that, it didn't really trigger any DP or anything like that. It may mess with my anxiety a little bit, but not much. But after that, I left when I graduated high school, worked in a factory, and for about a month, and I was working 12-hour days, 6 days a week, and it took me two paychecks to realize this ain't me. I need to go to college. And I signed up. I headed for the University of Alabama and got in and all that stuff like that. We won a national championship that year, but we do win quite a few. But I started there, and I started going to class, and I moved up here because I told myself, I was like, you know, I know you feel bad, whatever, but you just need to throw yourself out there and get into it. Well, I moved into the dorms, and I had a random roommate, great guy, but I didn't, you know, I had a random, he was from all over. He'd been I don't know if he was a military brat or something like that, but he was a good kid, and he's pretty cool. But still, like, it bothered me that a whole bunch of my close friends weren't there. It wasn't the same anymore, you know. I was thrown into this whole new massive environment. I went to a small private school when I was in high school. You know, my graduating class was like 50 people, and you know, I knew everybody knew me, and all of a sudden I got thrown into this world where nobody knew my name, nobody knew who the hell I was, nobody cared. You know, it was all about daddy's money, you know, being in a frat, or you know, shit like that. And I was a very, very small fish in a very big pond, and things changed so rapidly, you know, and I didn't really know how to adapt. And because I mean, I'm a small circle guy. I've got a couple close friends that I consider family, and not many others. You know, I got a lot of acquaintances. I like a lot of people, stuff like that. But when it comes to true friends, you know, that I know will be there for me no matter what, I've only got a few, and I've always been a small crowd, and I've always preferred, you know, I've always been an outdoor guy. I like being out in nature and hunting and fishing and stuff like that. And So being in this big environment was a system shock. And I moved into the dorms, and I did okay at the start. Living in the dorms, I lived in the shittiest dorm on campus. And it was 2 beds per room, and it smelled like ass and puke and marijuana and old beer. Home sweet home. And it was pretty rough, and I stayed sick a lot while I was in there, like sinus infections and stuff, because it was like mold in the building or whatever. But I lived in there for the first little bit, but I never really went out and did anything like I used to. Like, I used to love going out partying. Hell, I was in bars when I was like 17, sneaking in with a fake ID. But at this point, I was like, hell, I didn't even feel like myself anymore. Like, basically, I was scared to go down there and do that because I was scared to have a panic attack in front of all these people. And plus, I was a freshman, and that made it even worse because I just looked like this dumb kid coming down there who got in over his head or something, and, you know, having a panic attack. And so I kind of stopped going out and doing things. I got up and went to class every day, and you know, got me some lunch, and then I came back to the room and either hung out. There was a guy I knew that was a couple floors above me that I hung out with, or I left, and when left, and my dad lived in the same city as and my brother lived in this, and my stepbrother lived in the same city as where I went to college. And so I'd go over there some, I'd hang out, stay the night there, or, you know, go there for a little while and then come back to campus when I get ready to go, you know, go to bed. But I'd stayed there, and I'd just come home or back to the dorms after class and just like play Call of Duty until I went to sleep, and I'd do it all again the next day. And I was dating a girl back in my home, where I graduated, and she was a year or so younger than me, and I was dating a girl back there, so I was going home on weekends to see her like every other weekend. And so basically that's all I did, is sit. And, you know, the more I sat, the more detached I became, and the more worried I got. The more I started worrying about, you know, something's got, the weirder I started to feel. And I started to get further and further out there. I started worrying more. You know, holy crap, you know, what's this, what's that? And my family doesn't have a history of mental health issues, but my granddad was bipolar. My granddad was bipolar. My granddad killed himself. And and I never worried about it, never thought about that until this happened. Though I know bipolar and, you know, standard anxiety are two totally different things, this totally freaked me out, because I was like, you know, holy shit, am I becoming like my granddad? Holy hell, you know, I was terrified. I was like, you know, scared that, you know, somehow that I was going to be like him and end up like him or whatever. You know, it scared the shit out of me. And the more I sat there and, you know, kind of socially withdrew to myself, the more I worried about this, and the more it bothered me. And it started getting worse and worse, and I started worrying about it more and more. And it got to the point where I was always on edge. I was always ready to have a panic attack. Like, I was always sitting there like, if I have a panic attack, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? You know, this and that. And I was always worried, and to the point of I was always almost in fight or flight. Like, I was always to the point of, holy crap, you know, just on edge, mentally and physically, ready to have a panic attack, ready to run away or do whatever I had to do to save myself, because that's how much I was scared of these panic attacks and how intensely they felt to me. And that eventually led to, you know, once you're underneath that amount of stress and that amount of anxiety for so long, no break, you know, all that stuff. Plus, I came off my Zoloft. I was like, you know, this shit ain't helping, whatever. I came off of it, and which I don't think it was helping, but I did come off of it a little fast. But, and my, you know, all this anxiety and stuff kept getting worse, more intense, worse. And finally, one day I woke up, and I looked in the mirror, and I didn't recognize myself. You know, instantly that DP hit me like a fucking rock. And that's when it all started. And that is what led up to my DP. And then of course I spiraled out of control because I had no idea what was going on. I was terrified, and I just knew that the world was over, and it destroyed my confidence to do anything. And I was always a very confident guy, and it absolutely wrecked me. It really did. And it just bothered me to a point to where I left college, and I went home. I went back to my hometown, and that's kind of, for this first video, I'm gonna stop it there because that's kind of my introduction of how I got to DP, and then I'll make another video on where I've been since then and all that kind of stuff. But that's how I got here. And thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. We're gonna get through this together, and you know, if I can help you, I will. If you can help me, I hope you will too. Peace, guys.